stop whatever you are doing right now. Because if you drive a car anywhere in the United Kingdom, what I am about to tell you in the next few minutes could be the difference between keeping your license clean and walking out of your front door tomorrow morning straight into a fine, penalty points, or worse. The rules of the road in the UK have changed, and most drivers have absolutely no idea. Not because they do not care, but because nobody has sat them down and explained it clearly, without the legal jargon, without the confusing government documents, without the waffle. That is exactly what I am going to do right now. So stay with me until the end, because every single point in this video applies to you, and at least one of these changes is almost certainly going to catch you off guard. Let us start with the change that hits every single driver in the country, no matter what car you drive, no matter where you live, no matter how experienced you are behind the wheel. Road tax has gone up. The standard annual rate of vehicle excise duty, which is what you pay every year to keep your car legally on the road, has risen to £200 for the vast majority of vehicles registered after April 2017. That is up from £195, and while that £5 difference sounds small on its own, that is just the surface of what has actually changed. If you are buying a new car right now, particularly a petrol or diesel model with high emissions, the first-year road tax bill has been completely restructured. The most polluting new models are now facing a first-year charge of up to £5,690. You read that right. For certain high-emission new vehicles, you are paying nearly £6,000 in road tax in year one alone. The government has made it absolutely crystal clear with this policy that the era of driving a heavily polluting vehicle without serious financial consequences is over. Now, if you own an electric vehicle or you have been thinking about buying one, you need to hear this next part very carefully, because a lot of EV drivers are still operating under the old assumption that they do not need to worry about road tax. That assumption is now wrong. Electric vehicles are now required to pay vehicle excise duty for the first time in UK history. If your electric car was registered from April 2025 onwards, you paid £10 in your first year, and you are now paying the full standard rate of £195 every year after that. The free ride that electric vehicle owners enjoyed for years, the complete exemption from road tax that was designed to encourage EV adoption, has come to an end. The government's position is straightforward. With over 1.5 million electric vehicles now on UK roads and that number growing rapidly, EV drivers use the same roads as everyone else, and it is time they contributed to maintaining them. There is, however, one piece of good news for EV owners in 2026. The expensive car supplement, which is the additional annual charge applied to higher-value vehicles also known as the luxury car tax, now has a raised threshold for electric cars. That threshold has gone from £40,000 to £50,000, meaning many mid-range electric cars will no longer be hit with that extra charge on top of standard road tax. But if your EV was listed at over £50,000 when new, you are paying the supplement. Check your paperwork now. The next change is one that is going to ripple through hundreds of thousands of families across the country, because it does not just affect the driver sitting behind the wheel. It affects everyone in the car. The penalties for not wearing a seatbelt are being made significantly tougher. Currently, if you or a passenger is caught without a seatbelt, the penalty is a fine of up to £500. That fine is not going away. But on top of that fine, the proposed change would add 3 penalty points to the driver's license. 3 points for every seatbelt violation in your vehicle. If you are a driver with passengers who are not buckling up, you are the one who carries the consequences. And before anyone thinks this does not apply to adults making their own choices in the back seat, the law places the responsibility squarely on the driver. You are in charge of that vehicle and everyone inside it. The message is simple. Before you move an inch, everyone buckles up. No exceptions. Now let us talk about one of the most significant safety-related developments of 2026, and one that could fundamentally change the way millions of people think about having a drink before getting in the car. The drink-drive limit in England and Wales is heading for a major reduction. Right now, England and Wales operate at 80 milligrams of alcohol per 100 millilitres of blood. That is not just high by European standards. It is the highest drink-drive limit on the entire continent. Scotland already reduced its limit to 50 milligrams per 100 millilitres of blood back in 2014, and the government in Westminster is now consulting on bringing England and Wales into line with that lower threshold. To put this in plain everyday terms, we are talking about a limit so low that even a single pint of average strength beer could push some people over it, depending on their body weight, metabolism, and when they last ate. For new drivers who have held their license for less than 2 years, a near-zero limit is also being proposed. And for repeat offenders, alcohol interlock devices are being seriously considered. These are breathalyzer units fitted directly to the ignition system of a vehicle, physically preventing the car from starting unless the driver blows a clean breath test result. Enforcement is ramping up across the board with more roadside breath tests and higher-profile police campaigns. The penalties for being caught over the limit remain among the harshest in the UK road law system, including a mandatory minimum 12-month driving ban, a criminal record, and significant fines. If you drink and drive, the odds of being caught are increasing, and the consequences when you are caught are severe. Here is one that is going to directly affect anyone who is learning to drive or has a family member currently going through the driving test process. The rules around booking a practical driving test have been completely overhauled. From the 31st of March, 2026, learner drivers are only allowed to make 2 changes to their driving test booking. 2. Not 10. Not unlimited. 2. The reason for this change is a scandal that has been building for years. Third-party services and automated bots were hoarding test slots en masse, buying up appointments in bulk and then selling them onto desperate learners at heavily inflated prices. This created a nationwide backlog of people waiting for a driving test that reached close to 800,000. The new rules are designed to kill that system completely. And it goes further. From the 12th of May, 2026, it becomes a legal offence for anyone other than the learner driver themselves to book, change, or cancel a driving test. That means driving instructors, parents, third-party agencies, anyone who is not the actual learner, is legally prohibited from managing a test booking on someone else's behalf. The learner must do it themselves through their own personal government login. If you exceed the 2-change limit, you face cancellation and rebooking with a minimum 10 working days notice required for a full refund. And from June 2026, if you need to change your test center, you can only move to one of the 3 nearest centers to where your test is currently booked. No more booking a quiet rural test center across the country just to grab a faster slot. The whole system is being tightened up for genuine learners, and the people gaming it are being shut down. Now this next change is one that a large number of drivers do not even know is coming, and for the group it affects, the consequences could be significant. Drivers who have held licenses issued before 1997 and who have been operating heavier vehicles and minibuses under what are known as grandfather rights are facing a fundamental change to those entitlements. Those automatic rights to drive Category C1 and D1 vehicles, which cover minibuses and medium-weight goods vehicles, are no longer unconditional. Drivers in this category are now required to undergo triennial medical assessments through the DVSA. These assessments include physical evaluations and reaction time testing. The change came following a rise in serious incidents on UK roads involving older minibus operators, particularly in community transport contexts. If you fall into this group and you volunteer as a driver, operate a community vehicle, or carry passengers in any professional or semi-professional capacity using entitlements from a pre-year 1997 license, you need to check your status immediately through the DVSA. Alongside this, the government is also consulting on mandatory eyesight testing for drivers aged 70 and over. At present, older drivers simply self-declare that they are able to read a number plate from 20 meters every time they renew their license every 3 years. No independent verification is required. The Department for Transport launched a formal consultation on this in January 2026, and the proposal is to require professional eyesight testing at every license renewal for anyone aged 70 or above. Industry research shows that 70% of UK adults actually support this change, and with the consultation expected to produce a decision later this year, a phased rollout could begin before the end of 2026 or into 2027. If you are in this age group, keep watching the official government announcements closely. For London drivers specifically, another major change has already landed and is costing people money every single day. The congestion charge has risen from £15 to £18 per day, and if you pay it within 3 days after travelling in the zone rather than on the day, it jumps to £21. The 100% cleaner vehicle discount that gave electric car drivers completely free access to the congestion zone ended at Christmas 2025. Electric cars now receive a 25% discount, meaning they pay £13.50 per day. Electric vans and heavy goods vehicles get a 50% reduction. If you drive in central London and you have not updated your payment setup to account for these new rates, you may already have unpaid charges building up without realizing it. And finally, if you are in the market for a new car in 2026, every new vehicle sold from this point forward must be fitted with a more advanced suite of mandatory safety technology. This includes autonomous emergency braking that can detect pedestrians and cyclists and apply the brakes automatically, lane keep assist that actively helps prevent unintentional lane drifting, and intelligent speed assistance systems that use cameras to read speed limit signs and alert the driver when the limit is exceeded. These are not optional upgrades. They are legal requirements under the updated General Safety Regulations. The Intelligent Speed Assistance System in particular has been the subject of significant public debate because it actively intervenes in the driving experience. You can override it, but it continuously monitors your speed and keeps alerting you. The science behind it is hard to argue with. Research from the Transport Research Laboratory estimates that widespread adoption of this kind of technology could prevent up to 1,800 deaths per year on UK roads. So let us bring all of this together, because there is a lot to take in and you need to carry this information with you every time you get behind the wheel. Road tax is up for everyone, including electric vehicle owners. Seatbelt violations are heading towards penalty points as well as fines, making every passenger your legal responsibility. The drink-drive limit is being cut to match the lowest in the UK. Driving test bookings are now tightly controlled with legal consequences for breaking the rules. Pre-1997 license holders with minibus rights must now pass medical assessments. Mandatory eyesight testing for over 70s is on its way. London's congestion charge has already risen and the EV exemption is gone. And all new cars must come fitted with advanced safety technology by law. The drivers who protect their licenses, their money, and their futures are the ones who stay informed. Ignorance of the law is not a defense in a police car, in a courtroom, or in a fine notice arriving through your letterbox. You now know what has changed. The question is what you do with that knowledge. If this video gave you information you needed to hear, do me one simple favor. Subscribe to my channel right now. Hit that subscribe button, turn on your notifications, and share this video with every driver you know, because this is the kind of content that genuinely matters. I am constantly covering the changes, updates, and rules that affect UK drivers so that you stay ahead of the law rather than falling foul of it. Welcome to the channel. I will see you in the next one.